Hey folks, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, and I'm hanging out with this nerd today.
Nerdarchist Ted.
We're doing the thing. And hold on, I'm going to run off screen real quick, but I'll be right back. Ted, talk to them.
Alright, so, this is our typical Saturday live chat as Dave is trying to figure out, the lighting situation. We're going to talk about campaign ideas. As some of you are probably aware, I wound up finishing my campaign a couple weeks back and looking to eventually start a new one to kind of replace that. But Dave, in the not too far distant future, will wind up wrapping up his campaign. So we're going to talk about some things that, might wind up occurring.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit less about, and I'm hearing myself really lowly, which sucks. I hate the sound of my voice. So not so specifically about the games we're going to be playing, but just, in general, campaign ideas that we can talk about. If you guys have some ideas and want to throw them out there, we can also workshop those.
I've got 3 different giveaway announcements to do sometime before this stream is over. It's December, so this is going to be my month to run a game for the fans, so I'll be announcing that as well.
And also, we have something cool to show off as well. Hey guys, if you do me a favor, can you tweet this out and share places, because we ran out of time. We're just having some technical difficulties as we tend to do. For some reason, OBS just no, I'm not going to find your webcam. Screw you, hippie. Yeah, the one I've been using the whole time? No, we're not. We don't know what that is. So I'm great. Let's solve this riddle. The first thing I see, someone is a real life halfling. And that someone is me, editing out the person's name. So I hope everyone is having a great Saturday, better than mine anyway, because mine started off with having to go and get a flat fixed. So I was up early doing that. Last night I'm out in the cold, rolling around on the ground, changing a tire. I know, and then
mine had me digging up in the attic for more costume stuff for the Nerdarchy vids that we recorded earlier.
Which some people like and some people don't. But I think we like them. We like them.
I think they're fun. It adds a little bit of crazy antics to the more serious side of the interviews that we do, or the discussions we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, campaign ideas. Let's kind of start there. So, you can go with the traditional D&D, which is kind of based off of Tolkien, which is kind of based off of mythology. I mean, there's a bunch of other influences as well. Or you can go way off kilter and do something completely different. I mean, in the 80s, we got tons of different kinds of campaign settings, and that was kind of cool, especially when we got ones that weren't just generic fantasy. Obviously we had Greyhawk, where everything kind of started, and then we kind of, there was Forgotten Realms, and then there was Birthright and Mystra and things like that, where it was still kind of traditional fantasy, but it was starting to move away.
But I mean, if you move into things like Hollow World, where there's a little bit of lost civilization, or Al-Qadim, where you went into the more Arabian stuff, you could go into Oriental Adventures, which but might not be PC these days. But,
no, it would not be.
But that's what it was called. I'm not trying to, use offensive terms, but
but you did Asian mythology, or even if you wanted to do,
you could call it something, maybe L5R or something along those lines.
There's actually a term for it, but I'm not thinking. It's not wushu, but it's dang it! It just fell right out of my head. But there's actually a term wuzia, something like that is one of them. But there's actually several others that you could go into. But that would definitely be a way of changing it up. Is going with, a different mythos and basing it off of, instead of traditional, Western mythology and European medieval fantasy. So you could definitely mix it up that way.
Absolutely. And each of those offers a lot of, wonderful culture and, as you said, mythos that you could use, and not only would you be able to explore those great cultures in playing, but you'd be able to take your own twists on things, and you'd have a lot of fun, and your players would get to explore that if they didn't already know anything about those.
So one of the things we recently did is we did a video, and we kind of were inspired by the Deck of Many product, Humblewood. And so that product is about bird folk, essentially. So we did a video on anamorphic critters in D&D, and there's a ton of them.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah, as we kind of pointed out in that video. So, like, that's a good example of taking, you know, we took several different ideas for a campaign, spun off of this one premise that you're going to be playing say that word for me.
Anamorphic
creatures, and you know, we took it from, you could do a nation of them, you know, you could do your misfits that have come together. You know, one of the ideas was, you know, the using the, like, kind of like the lore from the, Seismic Combine,
the Simic Combine.
Yeah, where they kind of like, they're like Dr. Frankenstein, and they make stuff.
Well, I mean, and, you know, we talked about that you could either, you know, remove the typical, you know, fantasy trope races and replace them all with these anamorphic, you know, animals, you know, animal races, or you have them as a kind of complementary to the party just happens to be composed of only the animals, and, you know, you're out there traversing and seeing what people are going to respond and do.
But, you know, you can take that premise for almost anything and build your campaign setting off of it, or you could take something that already exists, like Waterworld or Pirates of the Dark Water, both of which were the kind of like the premise was there wasn't a lot of land,
right.
Or in some cases they were saying there was no land, or land was a myth, right? And you could build off of that. What does that look like? Can you have a city? What does that city look like? Is it under the waves, above the waves? Is it in a bubble? You know, is it both? Like you said, like these are all kind of like jumping off points.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Waterworld is a, you know, movie, you know, came out a long time ago, and, you know, it's got some mixed reviews, but there is definitely a lot that you could wind up stealing from that if you were looking to do an oceanic adventure, and, you know, you could really highlight some of the things that don't get a lot of play. And, you know, you could, you know, I mean, obviously the Kraken does get used because a lot of GMs love throwing that kind of big Titanic monster out there.
Plus, who doesn't want to say, release the Kraken?
You know, but you could add a culture to it. It could be, you know, more than just a, you know, session adversary. You know, it could be something that, like, is worshipped, and, you know, but all of the other, you know, aquatic monsters that are out there, you know, they would wind up getting a lot more play because you're doing that kind of adventure.
You know, you could literally just pick a monster out of the monster manual and start your campaign there, all right, and build out from it. Whether you're going to build, you know, from the premise of the Tarrasque is going to awaken, or there's a prophecy that the Tarrasque is going to awaken. And your whole campaign, the premise of that could be to try and keep the Tarrasque from awakening. Oh, you know, maybe there's a cult out there that just lives for finding and awakening the Tarrasque. Why anyone would want to do such a thing? Maybe that's something. It definitely had. There was definitely a 3rd edition prestige class, Waker of the Beast. I think it was.
Yep.
Where you become a mini Tarrasque.
Yes. You know, but I mean, even your smaller monsters, you know, could wind up, you know, spurring, you know, thought patterns into where you wanted to go. All right, suppose you turn to you know, undead, and you're looking at zombies and skeletons. All right, well, what can you do with that? Well, I mean, how many zombie movies are out there? Well, perhaps, you know, you take the different take on it, and now you're looking at making the super zombies or the fast zombies, and, you know, necromancers are you know, trying to vie for control, and you're in this horror-esque world with all of this stuff. You know, maybe you're looking at, kobolds, and well, perhaps kobolds have overbred and they are like destroying everything around them because they're trying to all sustain life. So they're eating everything around them and just moving out like locusts.
Now, in my mind, I was thinking locusts, but then the visual I was getting were kobolds, but like termites eating everything in cartoon style.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I was looking at. If it's slightly organic, they're eating the plants, they're eating the wood. They're out and moving, and I think that could be pretty interesting. I mean, yeah, you might have to dial up what those kobolds are and how they can chew through the wood. But I mean, come on, they're little mini dragons.
Well, speaking of mini dragons, look at Kryn, look at Dragonlance. It's literally a campaign setting that's based off of a monster, right? The War of the Lance is about the chromatic dragons being brought in to help Tahikis come back and take over the world. And the good metallic dragons have kind of left and abandoned them. The gods have abandoned you. So there's like several different premises just from that little snippet. That is Dragonlance.
That's true.
And even still, Dragonlance was still kind of generic fantasy for the most part, with its a little bit of its own flavoring to it.
What happens if mind flayers were trying to conquer the surface world? What if the kingdom was under control of an aboleth? You could go in a vast network of directions anytime you start talking about mind control creatures.
Now I'm getting a little nervous for your next game. when we finally figure that out.
Well, I mean, I've already made mention how much my ideas for my next game, which aren't set in stone yet, but some stuff in Ravnica is where I'm leaning heavily towards. I just was heavily inspired by that. Not that we're gonna play in Ravnica, not that we're gonna leave the Chimes of Discordia, but there's definitely some fun stuff that I'm downright stealing out of that book.
So, one of the things I think we should bring up, and we'd be remiss if we didn't, is the fact that if you're a dungeon master and you plan on running a new campaign and you're looking for campaign ideas, when you've assembled your players, one, you should probably have like 3 to 5 elevator pitches where it's like, we could do this or we could do that, and it's just like a framework. But to what I would add to that is leave room to have a session 0 and let your players kind of add things to the world, add things to the game, and make it more a cooperative story, in the sense that they get to put some set pieces in there. Maybe they're adding races or cultures, or even kingdoms, towns, cities, academies, things that would involve players that they want to see in the game.
So first and foremost, the last thing you want to do, or the worst thing you can do, is put your players in a game that the players don't want to actually do. It's like, I've wanted to do a zombie horror-esque game, and I'm like, I was more interested in a more RP heavy kind of thing. Can't really role play with zombies.
Yeah, if they want to play Alice in Wonderland fairy tale and you're running Grimdark, it's not going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, so like I have ideas, but I'm not nailing anything down until I figure out who the players in my game are, when we're planning to start, and we have some time to talk and allow me to put forth ideas and see whether I'm pitching an idea that no one has any interest in going down.
So before we get any further, I actually want to show off something really cool, which I'm going to have to put the link in the description at some point because it's not there yet. Unfortunately, we had been away at PAX. So and this thing came in while we were away, so we don't have all the details yet. But I'm probably, we're going to feature it over on the website, and it's going to get a lot more love, and we're going to roll it out again next week when we show it off. But it is super, super cool. But Let's see. Did anything else come with it in the mail, or just it?
It was just that. I think there might be some mounting equipment with it as well.
Mounting equipment.
Hardware to attach to the walls. I mean, because we're not talking about something light.
Yeah. Oh, this is super cool.
I don't know if you want to bring it in front of the table a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying not to knock you out with it. But this is a shield. This is a maybe not functional shield, but it looks amazing. The Nerdarchy shield. We're going to get the details up in the description ASAP so that you guys can go check it out. There's going to be a coupon code in Nerdarchy as well. So if you guys want to get your own, you'll be able to do that as well.
Yeah, my son wants to know what it says on the outside, and I'm like, I don't read rune.
You're not reading the runes, man?
I'm not that skilled. I mean, perhaps if we brought it to Megan, she might know.
That's a good possibility. But yeah, this thing is a beast.
But it is awesome. So do you want to, share who that was from?
I do. I'm actually looking it up because we got kind of sidetracked getting started today. We actually ran a little bit. We ran a little bit long with our prepping. So if you use the Nerdarchy promo code, you'll get a 10%. You'll get 10% off. It's only Paper Street Carpentry is the name of the company, and it was Tim Fitzpatrick over there that hooked us up. So it's only fair to also mention that if you use that promo code and Nerdarchy gets credit for the sale, that we earn a commission. Just so you guys know.
Whether that sways you one way or the other.
Yeah, like screw those guys.
I called Dave the one day and I'm like, a giant wooden box showed up with your name on it. I mean, it wasn't cardboard. This thing was literally nailed together as wood. So I mean, It was definitely a well packed and protected device. But I'm like, are you expecting something coming from Paper Street? And he's like, oh yeah. I'm waiting for that.
Yeah, and it's paperstreetcarpentry.com. Let me see if I can get this link and I can put it in the chat for you guys so that you can check it out. They got some cool stuff over there. I know. I was blown away when I saw he sent me a to their website where they had had pictures of it already there.
I like the towers with the bridge that's crumbled. I kind of seriously dig that.
Yeah, it very much has kind of like that Lord of the Rings Tolkien feel with the cartography to it.
So it's pretty nice.
It's pretty.
While Dave is sharing that, this is my month to run a fan game. We've kind of moved into the direction of not always streaming our fan games so that we kind of take the edge off the players. So my game is going to be December 28th. That's a Friday night at 8 o'clock. This would normally be when I'm running my RPG Crate game, but with the holidays, there's definitely some issue already with the scheduling. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put that there while I try and figure out, because I know that I can't do that there. So my players, or the list that we've got, I've got Stephen Fisher, Amanda LaRoque, Dave Marcel, Nicholas Hughes, Joseph Levesque, Alan Howerton, Pedro, I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. Is it, Quintinez? Something along those lines. I apologize for butchering your name. Blake Moore, Steve Strickland, and Tyler Roush. I will reach out to all of you, and if some of you can join, that would be great. We usually don't get enough players out of the list, so then we try to go to either the NAG or back to the list or to our patrons to try and see how to fill in the gaps. But a little under 3 weeks, I'm going to get a game going. I'll share all the details in the email with what I feel like running at the time.
So the way people get into the fan game is they sign up for the Nerdarchy newsletter, and there's instructions there that gets you an entry. Or if you're a patron at any level, that also gets you an entry. And like Ted said, a lot of times we need to fill up spots for the fan game, so we end up going to the patrons. And asking them to join in. Or sometimes even on these live chats, we'll be like, hey, we need X amount of players. Email us.
Yeah, last month you only had a few players from the list, and you did a shout out. It's like, hey, email us, and first X number that email that say they can do it, join the game, and your game went off well.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a bunch of different random ways of pulling people into the game, but the one we go to the most is Patreon. So whatever level, no matter what level you're at, everyone has equal shot over there.
Absolutely. So, like I said, I'll send out an email. Hopefully, if all goes well, shortly after the stream is done, I'll get that sent out, and we'll go from there.
Just trying to figure out where we're going to hang the shield.
I was looking at him like, can it fit here? And it doesn't really. So it was.
Not without some construction happening or deconstructioning, as the case may be.
So I'm like, I don't know if we want to block stuff off, whether we want to put it all on the wall and have some of the stuff that's already over there and moved. Whether you want to put it in someplace else.
We're just going to take turns with it sitting in our laps during the videos. Yeah, cradling it.
Just sit and hug the wonderful artistic shield.
Yeah, actually, I was looking at the shield itself, and I'm like, there's probably some inspiration for campaigns, campaign ideas right in the shield. Like,
absolutely.
There's twin towers with the broken bridge.
Why is the bridge broken? What are the towers? I mean,
that's clearly from the last time the Tarrasque came through. He took a bite out of it.
Are they both wizard towers that they're over top of mountains, and they became rivals, and they didn't want the towers connected anymore, so they fireballed it to destroy the connection. Going a lot of different directions with that. I mean, that's not to say that you've got the the nice volcanic chasm that's on the other side. You've got lots and lots of mountain ranges to play with. I don't know, lots of fun there.
All right, so apparently my chat had died for a while, and I've got it back now.
I still can't figure out how to get to the chat on this one. So,
well, I want to thank James Leslie for sharing out the contest rules for us, because yes, we do have contest rules, and they're fairly simple though. It's you can either go to the website and download.
You can download the form, mail it into our P.O. box. I take those and add those to the list before I use my random number generator to have one of those selected, or any of the regular monthly giveaways that we do. If you're a patron at any dollar amount, you're added into that automatically. It's our extra way of giving back to those people who want to support our channel.
We do greatly appreciate it. Oh, that is weird, Ted. I found the video.
I was in the video. I just couldn't get the chat to be listed, even though I was listed as the desktop version, not the mobile version.
Yeah,
it's weird.
There's a comment section, but
yeah,
the live thing.
Yeah. All right. So we have other contests that we use through Gleam that sadly the write-in method or the Patreons don't get an automatic entry into that, but those are the separate contests. You gotta fulfill the criteria for that. I know that we're doing those with our current sponsorship with Vallejo and Pacesetter Games and Simulations. I don't know if the link to that is in the description below or not. Dave will have to weigh in on that one. But we just had one end for Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica and Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So that ended more than a week ago, but because we weren't here last week, we weren't able to give those away. So these are going to Josh Pelzel, my apologies. So I will be emailing you about that and get these sent to you. And that is just, one of the giveaways that I'm going to announce today.
One of the many.
one of the many. Normally, we do, a giveaway a month in addition to whatever it is that we're doing with our Gleam contests. But we just came back from PAX, and, people give us stuff. So, thank you to 2C Gaming. He gave me some more, Total Party Kill handbooks to give away. I was stupid and didn't decide to go put the books in my media locker. I just decided to, carry around 4 thick, heavy D&D books with me for hours while I'm walking the sales floor. I ran into Dave and he's like, "Why don't you just use your locker? Your jacket's already in there." I'm like, I felt like an idiot.
I was like, I just like them close to my persons. I just like to feel the weight of the books upon my soul.
So with the added books, with all the stuff that we have sitting here on the giveaway shelf, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make an executive decision. And instead of giving away 1 monthly prize, I'm going to give away 2. So I've got...
He's out of control. Someone stop him.
So what I've got here is I've got what I call the D&D pile and the not D&D pile. Now, in both of them, because they've been sitting around for a while, I've got the Nerdarchist Dave and Nate the Nerdarch inspiration tokens. Beardspiration tokens, my apologies.
Get it right.
From Dungeon Crate. They sent us whatever leftovers they had. There is no Nerdarchist head one. For whatever reason, he didn't make enough of those for us to have more. Or maybe those all went away. I don't know. But I'm adding those in every giveaway.
Until they're gone.
Until they're gone. Just because, there's not enough to be like, here, let's just send them to everybody. And there's not enough to, just hang on to as a giveaway by itself. So for the non-D&D pile, I've got a collection of stuff. As I said, I got the tokens. Bill Webb's Deck of Dirty Tricks. Unrighteous Villains by Legendary Games. Tome of Horrors 4 by Frog God. Fields of Blood, also by Frog God Games. And you've probably heard us talking about this on the channel, but Atlas Animalia is an awesome art book full of variety of different, artistic views on different D&D monsters changed based on locale. So that is just one of the giveaways. This is the non-D&D pile, and that is going to go to James Carden. So I will reach out to you to get your information and get that in the mail to you. And I'm still not done yet. For the D&D pile, again, you're going to get the Beardspiration tokens. You've got the original Deck of Many Things from thewarstore.com. Copy of Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Gods and Goddesses by Jetpack 7. And the aforementioned from 2C Gaming, the Total Party Kill Handbook. So that's quite a lot to be ditching out for 1 month. But there you go. And that is going to go to Ashley Parsons. So again, I will reach out to you, get your address, and get that sent in the mail.
Sweet. So those are from either, sending in the form over on the website or being a patron. Even if you're a patron for $1, your name still gets entered. And I don't know, that's like, what is that? That's, oh my God, it's a lot. It's like 5 years worth of being a patron at $1 in one giveaway.
If you average that each of the books are $25, that's still...
I think that's lowballing.
Yeah. So those 2 stacks, I would easily put it over $100. The last 2 months we gave away a $300 prize. So I felt, let's trim down the shelf a little bit and do 2 this month. And
it's December. Why not? The holidays are upon us.
It is the holidays. So there you go. Thank you to Ashley, to James, to Josh for supporting us in the ways that you do so. And hopefully that's incentive for the rest of you to possibly get in on some of this awesome giveaway stuff.
There's been a request.
Oh, they want to put the whole pile up
They want
there?
to see the stack.
All right, so let's pull it back just a little bit more.
Yeah, so the table doesn't tip.
Well, I was just to see the edge.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Bam.
It.
So that's a decent. Let's put the shield on top now. Let's just stack things. We're no longer doing the videos, folks. We're just going to have a stacking competition. We're just going to play reverse Jenga. So, yeah. So James Leslie has a theory admitted, Ted, with all those hardcover books, your house is sinking and you have to give some away.
I'm not going to confirm or deny
They're
that.
on to you, my friend. They are on to you. So,
Well, I'm not going to confirm or deny that, James. You'll have to, believe it or not.
So, also, Doug had brought up something, the new Mike Merle's game. I have not seen it yet, but he suspects that maybe he's seen a Nerdarchy video talking about the Deck of Many Things, where we discussed using the Deck of Many Things as an actual plot device, where you base your campaign around, you have the sleeve or the jacket where the cards go, but you have none of the cards yet.
Yeah.
And you got to catch them all like Pokemon, and and that's the whole campaign. So again, we were talking about campaign ideas earlier. That's another way you could go with it.
So Kyle Ellis says Atlas Anomalia is probably the book that helped me most in visualizing monsters and how to change them. So I'm certain that the artist Sarah and Andreas would definitely love to hear that nice feedback.
Yes, so at Gen Con I had sat down with her and recorded some video, which will be going up eventually. We've been slowly but surely releasing all the videos we did from Gen Con. We did like 21 of them, so quite a few. The only thing that annoys me is there's a little bit of white noise in those videos, and I think I figured it out, but I can't do anything about it now. It's too late. We actually had this problem here at the Nerdarchy HQ for a while too. We were getting this slight hum sound, and we're like, "What's that noise?" And we just couldn't figure it out. And we talked to our post-production people, and they're like, check this cable and check that cable. And the thing that it turned out being was ridiculous. It's Ted's mini refrigerator on the other side of the room from where we record. It's like, it makes a sound that's not even, that you can't hear. But, for whatever reason, the mic is able to pick up that frequency and creates this humming sound.
So, we know that, before we start recording, we got to unplug the fridge, and when we're using the certain mic that we use for our regular videos, it's got to pull it, and we'll just plug it back in later. I've done all kinds of weird tricks to remember to make sure I plug it back in.
So Anthony from Cardboard Fortress has a cool idea about basically doing like a sliders type game, which would be a lot of fun, especially too because sometimes people are like, I want to do a kind of like a Planescape game, or I want to go to other places, other dimensions. How do I do it? We get that question all the time.
Well, I like the concept more of, rather than going to full other worlds, I like demiplanes. I like having these things where it's more of like a small pocket dimension, and with our world, that we wanted to have it where there wasn't a whole lot of magic items. For the first half of the campaign, the only way you guys were getting access to magic items were strange events, or you weren't on the Prime.
Yeah. Oh, that's another great idea, Anthony. I like the idea of the dungeon diving campaign, where the dungeon is collapsing down on you slowly. You have to keep going deeper. The only thing I can think of with that, though, that keeps coming to mind, maybe a little less than 5e because we did a video on this, but the weird shit you end up having to eat to survive, and you're wringing moss out off the walls for liquids. But right, it's 5e, so you just cast a spell and the problem solved.
Well, what if you're just a ranger or an outlander? You just get food, right? That's not the way it works.
That is kind of how it works.
They're just materials. Yep. Hey, look at this.
Doug's messing with me because the camera's slightly off-centered. Well, yeah, it's a lot harder when you have to center it and you're not in the shot.
Yeah, this is our first week in a long time of not having somebody here to help adjust and
we don't have Doug, we don't have Jake. We're gonna have to find another intern. I keep trying to sucker one of my kids into doing stuff, but I've yet to succeed. They want to be paid. They're the worst.
Kyle Ellis says, I have a 1 to 20 mega dungeon I made in the theme of What's Behind Doors number 1, 2, and 3. Each level is 3 doors to choose from with a clue of what the challenge is inside. Then after the challenge is beat,
James is talking about Me blaming you all the time. I think he's sympathizing with you too.
I mean, sometimes it happens.
So Brian Smith wants to know if more animations coming or more interviews. Funny you should mention that. We do have some more interviews that are still in the can from, it's not live stuff, but from Gen Con, like we mentioned. And then, so the animation, funny thing, Nate was doing them. Nate is now an over-the-road trucker, apparently, which all happened within the past, month or so. So I do not know if he'll be able to create animations while driving a big rig or not. I mean, he should be able to, but slacker.
My brother-in-law, who lives down in Florida, within the past year or two, has gone into the over-the-road trucking as well, and my wife is planning on
doing the same.
No, in between now and then of printing out the words to Weird Al's trucking song to either sing and or play it for him. And it's a song about driving a truck with high heels on.
Well, how else would you drive a truck? Please, that's how I used to do it. Just saying. Although I wasn't driving big rigs, I only had a Class B, so
right.
So no trailers as far as tractor trailer.
Right.
But sometimes we have the big 650, and you pull a trailer with that. But triaxle, which is pretty big.
Absolutely.
So William Blowers wants to know, what's your opinion of Council of Worms? Did you actually play any of that, or did you just have it? I know I've seen it on your shelf in the past.
I played a session of it with the non-Saturday night group, but it wasn't a long-standing kind of game. It was just kind of a throwaway like we did back in the day. But absolutely, people love dragons, and getting to play as dragons is absolutely something to look into.
Who was? Oh, it was Brian Smith. What? Ice Road Trucking. He needs to make a vlog and talk about the crazy trucking stuff that he's to deal with. I think he should do it, but he should do it like Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. Crikey! Oh man, I do not envy him. That is a terrible occupation, in my opinion. I did not do over the road. I just did I did heavy construction, and we did a lot of driving, and you just see all kinds of horrible things on the road over and over again. I'm glad to not be doing it. I wish him the best of luck with it.
So Uncle Peter wants to know, whether the new game is going to be something that's streamed, whether it's recorded in person. We are still trying to figure that out.
We have a couple ideas. We were talking about maybe recording it with OBS and doing separate camera setups, and not doing it live, but doing it as a pre-recorded, and then breaking it up into 4 episodes, and maybe we release one a week instead, because the way we were doing it before is we shoot it, we game once a week, we shoot it, and then we just put it all out in 2 episodes all at once,
right.
Basically. So in order to make it more regular, we're talking about doing that. We still have to get the old stuff out. We are looking at possibly, just creating a separate gameplay channel and just putting it on there.
I think at this point in time, I think that's
probably what we're going to do.
90 to 95% likely that, all of the further gameplays that we do are going to wind up going on that channel, that extra channel, not where you're watching here. But what that'll do is that'll allow, those of you who really like, the Nerdarchy gameplays to go over there, while those who don't want to watch the gameplays can still find this stuff here and not get, lost in the surplus of the extra stuff that they don't want to watch, which to each their own.
What we'll do is we'll put the playlists on this main channel, so you guys will be able to find it. Hopefully that'll make it easy for you. So we had a bunch of questions coming in, some really good questions. We get the best questions. I saw quite a few of them.
So, opinion on draconic serpents instead of dragons, and our campaigns with race restrictions.
It's all fine. I mean, it's just a matter of, do you have the players that want to play in that game? One, I like the idea of reflavoring things so that, instead of just having eel dragon like everybody else has, you got worms and they're serpents instead, which is cool.
Like you could literally have as opposed to like the dragons with these huge wingspans, like the flight is more of a magical ability, and they're just up there floating around with their long serpentine body,
like Chinese dragons, like the Asian dragon, or maybe they don't fly at all, or maybe they dwell in the oceans or the seas. There's definitely a lot of directions you could go with that, or maybe it's a mix of them. Some fly, some don't. Some are more aquatic.
The campaigns with race restrictions, I think those things allow for, while it's limited, if you can get the players to really buy in, you can do a lot more with it as you introduce, new settings and new races that hadn't previously been seen before. And that adds a lot more fun to the game. If these people have never seen a tiefling before, they're like, oh my god, what is that?
What is this? Cyrusicus 1612. My friend is trying his hand at first time D&D game and wants to create a world where magic characters have a harder time. Do you have any ideas I can relate to him? It really depends on how you want to make them have a harder time, and what does it mean? Is there a group of players that want to play in that world? Right? If your one buddy only plays wizards and that's all he ever wants to play, or some other spellcasting class, he's probably not gonna, or she might not like that world. So these are considerations.
I've said this before. A friend of mine, ran a game that was kind of the opposite of what you see in a typical fantasy world. Humans were the rare race. They were more the slaves, the downtrodden, and outright studied wizardry was considered frowned upon. If you were a sorcerer, it's fine. You can't control being born with magic. But to actively go and learn magic, it was considered, heinous. And I'm like, man, that's amazing. I want to play a human wizard. And I had a blast in that game hiding the magic that I did and hiding the different things that I did. And I really enjoyed that game. But I, as the player, really bought into his world and that character creation. And throughout the game, I was bucking against what tradition was in this world and, really, really enjoyed it. And it was actually one of the first games that I ever ran or played in to a completed storyline. So
now, the only thing I would say too, if you're going to make magic harder and give them a hard time with things, then you should give them something as well. There should be kind of like you should make some. If you're going to take, then you should give. So that would be a consideration as well. Not just like, oh, I'm just going to make these suck more. And then the other thing is in 5e, it's going to be weird and interesting at the same time because so many classes have magic features or spellcasting.
So, for me, it was all role-playing challenges. Could you convince someone that you weren't casting magic or that you were a sorcerer as opposed to a wizard? In Critical Role, they go to the city of Vasselheim where arcane magic is frowned upon or outlawed in public. So you can use divine magic all you want. Druid's got no problem, but if the bard starts running around and throwing around all these spell effects, people get GERD right in your face. So if you make it just be a role playing hazard, a something that people look down on you and have a negative standing with you, or you have a negative standing with them because you're doing it, there's no mechanical difference. You're still playing the class as it's presented, but it becomes hazards and challenges for those levels, not for combat.
So moving on to dice discussions, our group's barbarian wants to have a tattoo that has been empowered with magic. How would you do it? Or would you do it? I don't know, Ted. How would you do that?
Well, essentially, you treat it like a magic item. I use tattoo magic, as a reward in my last game. Dave's character actually wound up marrying that NPC, and it was a lot of fun. So it's like, well, if you're going to offer something as a role playing reward, it's like, okay, give it the power of a magic item that doesn't require attunement. Okay, well, can they add damage to an attack, limited number of times a day? Can they offer, these other things? And you can look through your DMG or other books that have magic items and look at the stretch, the scale of things that offer, or items that don't offer or require attunement, I should say. And that's your scale, that's your scope. And you're not going to give things that are going to mess with bounded accuracy. You're not going to allow them to, this gives you an extra +1 to hit and damage. As stupid as that is, as small as that is, if you combine that with other things that wind up doing it, you're going to push those boundaries of, what the game is designed, and you don't want to go in that direction. But adding a little bit of damage, not too big a deal. Offering someone expertise in a skill or a tool set, it's awesome. I mean, to me, those are things that I absolutely love. I love expertise in 5th edition. It's one of my, favorite little bonuses and boons that I've done. I know Dave wound up giving that to us at one time throughout his game. In my game, you guys went to a place where there was the seer of the gods, and because you spent some time there learning about religion, anyone who had religion got expertise. Anyone who didn't have it, were proficient in the skill.
Yeah, I gave out evil goat powers, as some dubbed them.
They weren't evil goat powers; they're just goat powers.
It depended on whether you got them or not, as to whether they were evil.
Well, I didn't get them, but I still didn't consider them evil goat powers.
Torg definitely considered them evil goat powers.
It was from. It wasn't from the dragon, because the dragon gave me the breath weapon.
Oh yeah, I also did the. You guys were awarded from the Clockwork King. He gave you guys a boon as well.
But I don't remember where I got the expertise on investigation.
I have no idea. But maybe from being a knowledge cleric?
No, that gave me history and arcana. There was something else that you gave us as a boon.
Not sure. Maybe when you guys went and visited the Goblin King. But so, to answer your question, yes, we like non-standard rewards. We give them all the time. But F you if you think you're getting a magic crossbow, buddy.
Hey, sometimes it takes a little bit of work, but
magic hand crossbow.
There are times.
Last session, magic hand crossbows. Everyone gets one.
Well, I know it took a while in your game in 3rd edition, but like my orc who fought with a double sword, you're fighting with a bizarre weapon. You're not gonna find +1 double-bladed weapons all over the place. You gotta wait for it, and I did.
Yeah, so like I said, we're all about non-standard. Even I've even enchanted people's items instead of giving them a magic item. I made something on them a magic item. The one caveat I would say, add to what Ted said about magic tattoos. If it's powerful, it requires attunement. Yeah,
like I said, if you just have to look at what the range is in the other magic items, and if you want to have a tattoo that requires attunement, you can have them unattuned, but it's a dormant ability until they reattune to it. Is what I would do.
Yes, that's what I would do as well. You can make it dormant, and it just becomes a tattoo.
There's nothing standard about Nerdarchy.
Just your typical old middle-aged white guys.
Have you ever
that like to throw funny shit dice.
Have you ever thought about mashing races, e.g. Goliath with a warforged arm or a human with dragon scales?
Vargarians. That's essentially my Vargarians. I mash everybody with warforged and turn them into Arcana board.
All right, so human with dragon scales. That's easy. It's a draconic sorcerer.
Or half dragon.
Or half dragon.
One of the few templates we have.
Relion is considered a Hugh Gobkin because of the craziness that's happened to him. He's a human, but he's got goblin eyes, elf ears, and a draconic breath weapon. So,
yeah, he's all mixed up. As Anthony likes to affectionately refer to him as a mongrel man. You become a mongrel folk.
But You know, he's an awesome character. You know, I really enjoy playing him. It'll be sad when that campaign is finally over, but it'll be that I'll have played from 1 to 20.
Holy crap, we have 114 people watching right now.
Sweet.
What are you guys doing on your Saturday afternoon? You got nothing better to do? It is, well, in the Northeast, it is getting a bit chilly out anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I saw something about samurai pizza cats or something.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a cartoon?
Samurai Pizza Cats was the response to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it did not do as well.
Well, it's not as good. You know why? Because cats are a-holes for the most part. And turtles are just really cool. It's true.
So,
you know what my cat was doing yesterday? It was rolling in the litter box. I'm like, what are you doing? You little shithead. Literally, right now, you're a little shithead. Why are you rolling in the litter box? Like, we have chinchillas, too, so, like, they get dust baths, and they go in this thing that looks like a birdhouse, and they roll around, and that's how they get clean. Well, the cat was doing the same thing. I'm like, did you watch the chinchillas, and you're mimicking them? What are you doing? That cat's a little off. He's got a tiny head and big bug eyes, so I think the eyes take up the space for the gray matter, so...
Well, Samurai, ironically, since we mentioned Samurai Pizza Cats, Samurai is my big cat. He's over 20 pounds.
Don't die, Ted. But never mind. If you're going to die, do it on stream, though.
Well,
let's catch that shit on stream.
He's in the last few months, he's like really ramped up like how much attention he wants. And, we have a cat tower for them to climb and what have you. But if he's at head level or what have you, and you walk by, there's times that he'll just like reach out his paw to like, kind of tap you in the head or, try to bat your hat. And it's like, I want attention. Hello, hello. I'm like, when did you pick this up? What the heck, man? So, I totally understand.
Off cats, you understand off cats?
Yes.
Let's see. Can you do a ban magic and players are hunting magic Eminem from other realms? That's a little. So that was nice, Ian. There's a bit of a mashup there, but I get the gist of it. You want to ban magic, and the players are hunting magic that is coming in from other places.
So Shalendor says, "Alas, poor Ted. He was on stream, and now he is dead." So we got poetry.
We have a bard amongst us, yeah. But no, you could do that kind of campaign if you want to. Again, as always, player buy-in. So like, if your players want to play magic characters or they don't want to have to hide their magic, that's not going to be a fun game for them. But you could totally do like a Warehouse 13 or Friday the 13th style game where they're investigating and hunting down cursed magic items from other realms or just magic items from other realms. If you're going to strip D&D or strip the magic out of D&D, Cubicle 7 put out a Lord of the Rings campaign, so you might want to check that out. So this way you have more options for your players, especially ones that don't require magic.
Right, and it's going to be tricky. Literally, if you look at all of the subclasses that are out there, every single class has access to magical abilities. So, as Doug pointed out, banning magic in 5th edition eliminates an enormous number of player options. So, as Dave says, make sure you have player buy-in before you try and run a game like that.
Both races, and maybe we should do a video on that. Maybe we should do a video and be like, here, because we talked about it a little bit in a live chat, and people seem really interested in this topic. But here is what 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons really looks like once you gut the magic. Like, we'll be like, all right, the book goes from like this to this.
All right, so automatically, Bard, Wizard, Sorcerer, Warlock, Cleric, Druid.
And then a bunch of subclasses.
Paladin has got casting from the very beginning, right?
No, they're a half-caster.
They're a half-caster?
Yeah.
So, but that's a lot.
And then you start getting into races.
You'd have to figure out, how to do a spellless ranger, a spellless paladin. You'd have to limit your monk, your rogue, your barbarian, your fighter.
As tieflings are gone.
Tieflings are gone. Asimars are gone. Do you remove Dragonborn because they have a breath weapon? Or
I was thinking that, or do they have a biological way of creating that breath weapon?
For this kind of thing, like that could be something for debate. But I would say no. Let's remove those too. It's too magical.
Too mad. Finally get rid of some of that dark vision. No, there'll probably still be a ton of it roaming around.
Doug says, what Ted is getting at that point, just play a different game.
I don't know. We might workshop a video on this and see what it really looks like. Although it might be easier to list the options that you still have left in the game than it is to list everything we took out.
I think that's going to be fun to play around with.
Yeah, and then you can say, well, if I want to run an all magic game, what do I have to take out? Oh, almost nothing. Yeah, because everything has a magic option. I still don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you. I mean, I like options, but it just seems weird to me that everything has the magic option. Barbarian was our last holdout, and then Xanathar's Guide to Everything came out and be like, oh no, here's Barbarian Storm. What was
Path
it?
of Storm.
Yeah,
Storm
Magic
Lord.
Storm Barbarians.
All right, so Brian Smith has got a question, and this is something that you can be able to deal with because you have this in your game. How do you deal with a wild magic sorcerer with the inevitable moment he summons a demon or teleports himself 200 miles below the surface of the planet?
Those aren't like that's you're clearly using a different table because those aren't on. There's nothing that bad on the wild search table.
But fireball in the party at low levels, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. But if you are incorporating those things into the game and it happens, well, I'll tell you how you handle it. What are you guys doing? There's a big, powerful demon in front of you. If you're, you might not be able to run. You might have to bargain. It seems like a great opportunity for role playing. If you have players that quite have not met their full potential yet as warlocks, this would be a good time for them to contemplate that. Maybe they should be signing on the dotted line. As for the character being teleported into the center of the earth, that one kind of sucks because that removes them from the game.
Well, 200 miles, I mean, I don't know how deep the Underdark goes, but, I mean, maybe you appear in a Drow city. Maybe you appear in a Dorgar city.
Maybe everybody teleports with you.
Move the adventure,
Well, that's true. Move the whole adventure about roughly 200 miles beneath the surface.
So, I mean, as the DM, you ultimately control the narrative. So, control the narrative. I mean, that's your job at the table. Regardless of the circumstances that happen, if you're playing a collaborative game, deal with the circumstances that are there and say, how can I move the story along, or how can I change the story based off of the elements that have happened?
I think you and Doug just said the same thing. except for the chat is real time and the video tends to be delayed. Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly it. How can you change the narrative? Well, maybe a one-way portal opens up and the rest of the players can choose to go through it or not. They see their guy on the other side.
Help me.
But maybe they don't see them because it's only a one-way portal. And if they interact with it in any way, they get sucked in to the other side. So then the party can choose. Do you split the party, really? Or do you just be like, oh, sorry, dude, it's on you?
Yeah, I mean, you can really go in any which direction that you like. Maybe if you've got the time, you run solo session with the party heading down to the Underdark to get him. You run a solo session for the one player that's stuck in the Underdark trying to find his way north, and you don't let them know that around the next bend is where the rest of the party is, so that the next session's like, okay, we're gonna all meet, and you spring it on them. Okay, you're actually all together, and you move the campaign from there. So I mean, you can do a lot. You can have a lot of fun with it. It's just as we said, how are you going to control that narrative? How are you going to have fun with it?
So 721 MDS. What isn't funny about your wild magic sorcerers vanishing from sight and their clothing dropping to the floor? That just makes me think of Star Wars, to be honest with you. He's just Obi-Wan. No, he's joined the Force.
Well,
or the Chaos in this case. So with that, we are kind of at our hour mark. We actually started on time today, I believe, which is amazing. We just got rid of Jake and Doug, and all of a sudden we start on time.
Which that doesn't make sense at all because Jake was a good timekeeper.
Yeah, those guys are good at moving things along and helping us out.
If we ever do what we did at Gen Con, we did this year, I don't know how we'll ever do it with the efficiency that Jake ran it.
With military-like precision.
Final passing moments. Thank you to all the awesome, people who are supporting
Street
us.
Carpentry too, for this amazing shield. It's so cool. We got a shield. Oh my god! And it's got a Nerdarchy logo on it.
It does. And we're gonna get these awesome rewards sent out to those people who won. So Ashley, James, Josh, you look forward to my email coming.
Yeah, just remember soon. If you go to paperstreetcarpentry.com, use promo code Nerdarchy, you will get a 10% discount, and it also helps support the channel. And from what I can see, you'll probably get an awesome shield out of the deal as well. I don't know if they make other stuff or not, but who needs other stuff when you have freaking shields?
Absolutely. So, as always, the links to, awesome stuff is down in the description below. Feel free to, check that out. And until next time, stay nerdy.